Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into one of the most, well, exhilarating and frankly pretty mysterious experiences our minds can have, that sudden aha moment, when everything just clicks and you see something in a completely new light. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack a really groundbreaking new perspective on insight. It comes from a paper called Reframing Insight: Beyond Rules Toward Coherence by Philip Lillian. He's with the Unified Coherence Research Initiative. Now, you might typically think of insight as either, pure random magic, something that just happens.
Yeah, or maybe the opposite, right?
Exactly. Or maybe as something purely mechanical, like a logical outcome of some preset rule-based process in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But this paper, it boldly claims insight is something far more profound.
Yeah, it says it's a coherence phase transition, not just simple computation.
A phase transition. Okay. Get ready for a bit of a paradigm shift, because this deep dive, it's going to introduce concepts like Gödel's incompleteness theorems.
Which is fascinating in this context.
Totally. And it redefines what a prepared mind actually means in some surprising ways. It promises to give us a completely fresh lens for understanding intelligence, creativity, even the future of AI. So, if our gut feeling tells us insight isn't just a machine ticking along, why has science largely viewed it that way? That's the first assumption this paper really dismantles. A lot of conventional science tends to view all mental activity, insight included, as something that can ultimately be explained as rule-based physical processes.
Right, the deterministic outlook, everything's just complex computation, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where the paper pushes back. It argues that this deterministic stance, while, powerful in other areas of physics, it actually rests on unprovable metaphysical assumptions when applied here.
Oh, so?
Well, think about it. If you assume everything must be deterministic because, say, physics has work elsewhere, you end up kind of overlooking the fact that insight often reshapes the very framework of rules itself. That's a huge distinction. It's not just following rules, it's changing the game. So what's fascinating here is the key question shifts to explanatory adequacy. Like, what best accounts for how insight actually functions? The paper suggests insight involves rule innovation and context reframing that simply goes beyond closed formal systems.
That's a profound thought. If insight can change the rules, it can't only be following them.
Exactly.
It really makes you consider why challenging this common assumption is so vital for, truly understanding your own thought processes, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If your mind isn't just running a preset program when you have a breakthrough, what is it doing?
Well,
here's where it gets really interesting. The paper introduces this alternative framework, insight, as structured coherence.
and a phase transition in a cognitive resonance field.
Right. It's a pretty fundamental shift in how we conceive of thought itself.
Precisely. And maybe we should define some key terms from the paper's glossary just to make this clear.
Good idea.
Okay, first, a coherence field. This is basically the mental landscape where your ideas live. Think of it like a vast, organized space. Maybe like a library, where ideas are constantly trying to find connections, align with other ideas.
Okay.
And when they resonate, they fit together and new patterns can emerge.
So it's about the relationships between ideas.
Exactly. Then there's meta-coherence. This is like a higher order restructuring of that coherence itself, the capacity to shift between totally distinct resonance domains.
So jumping tracks, almost.
Kind of. It's your mind's agility to jump between completely different ways of seeing something, to suddenly understand a problem from an entirely new angle.
Okay, got it.
And finally, coherence intelligence. This is a model of intelligence that emphasizes this resonance, this structural preparation and dynamic reconfiguration, rather than just static rule sets.
So it's about a brain that's not just following instructions.
Right. It's rewriting them on the fly, essentially. The paper elaborates that insight is activated when the system is primed for multi-domain coherent alignment.
Primed, okay.
And it connects this directly to Gödel's famous insights into the limits of formal systems. It suggests that true intelligence isn't just like recursive computation within a fixed system.
But the ability to restructure the system itself.
Exactly.
So this isn't just playing with words. This shift from thinking about cognition as purely rule following to coherence restructuring, it fundamentally reorients our understanding.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Your brain isn't just following a recipe, it's actually inventing new ingredients and cooking methods on the fly when you have that aha moment.
That's a good analogy. That's the power of coherence.
So what are the deeper mechanics behind this? Let's dive into some of the more philosophical and mathematical underpinnings mentioned in the paper.
Sure. The paper draws a really powerful analogy to Gödel's incompleteness theorems.
Right. I remember those from logic class, vaguely.
Yeah. They famously showed that no formal system, like mathematics, can prove all truths about itself from within its own axioms. So the paper uses this to illustrate the limits of purely deterministic modeling. It argues that insight is like our mind leaping outside its own preset rules.
So not just following steps.
No, it's literally changing the steps themselves as it goes. The paper uses this term, a hyperfractal coherence cascade.
Whoa, okay, what does that mean?
It means deep insights can fundamentally restructure the very foundation of our understanding, like building new floors on a house while you're still living in it, and those new floors then change the shape of the lower ones.
That's a complex image, but I think I get it. It's deep restructuring.
Exactly. Then there's dual aspect monism. This is a philosophical view. It suggests that physical and experiential aspects are two inseparable expressions of a single unified reality.
Physical and experiential, like brain activity and the feeling of understanding.
Precisely. Applied to insight, it means it's both a physical brain transformation, new neural pathways forming, plasticity, and a phenomenological depth, like that sudden emergence of profound meaning.
So they're not cause and effect, but two sides of the same coin?
That's the idea. Two inseparable expressions of one coherent underlying reality. It's not that your brain causes the insight or the insight causes your brain to change, but they are two aspects of the same event.
Okay.
And these concepts are tightly woven into what the paper calls the unified coherence framework. Insight, specifically, is framed as a meta-coherence activation.
Meta-coherence again.
Right, a shift into a higher dimensional or maybe an alternative coherence manifold. It's not just a change in the information you possess, but a change in the fundamental structure of how that information connects and relates.
Wow. So what does it mean for us, for our thinking, if our deepest insights actually go beyond the very rules we create and operate within?
It implies a kind of freedom, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But how do you cultivate that freedom? That's where Louis Pasteur's famous quote comes in, right? Chance favors the prepared mind.
Exactly. But this paper gives it a really fascinating redefinition in light of coherence. Well, the paper clarifies that insight isn't random or mystical, but it's also not deterministically inevitable. It's framed as that phase transition in a coherence field.
That becomes accessible only when the system is internally primed.
Right. So the prepared mind, symbolized as embra in the paper, isn't just a mind full of facts. It's redefined as a resonant structure attuned to receive a higher order coherence shift.
So not just a sponge, but like a specifically crafted antenna tuned to pick up certain signals.
That's a great way to put it. And within this framework, preparation isn't just about accumulating facts or rote learning.
Okay.
It involves actively structuring your coherence field through sustained attention, deep reflection on problems, getting rich and diverse experience, using careful cognitive scaffolding.
Scaffolding, like mental frameworks.
Yeah, ways of organizing thought. You're essentially building latent resonance pathways. These pathways allow for a complete reconfiguration of prior knowledge. They enable pattern recognition across seemingly unrelated domains, and they foster the emergence of new cross-domain coherence. It's like tuning an instrument really well, so it's ready to play a complex, beautiful new melody when the moment strikes.
Can we see this in action? Are there examples?
Oh, definitely. The paper points to classic examples. Think about Einstein's thought experiments. They weren't about rigidly following existing rules, right?
You know, they were very imaginative.
Exactly. It was years of deep mental structuring, playing with concepts, building that internal coherence field that eventually led to the coherence leap for relativity, or mathematicians like Ramanujan. His colleagues often described his insights as divinely inspired, but from this perspective, they likely stemmed from intense, almost abstract, internal coherent structuring, not just random guesses.
So the structure was there, even if it wasn't obvious how he built it.
Plausibly, yes. Even everyday creative intuition. It's often primed by multimodal preparation, integrating images, metaphors, subconscious processing, until suddenly a new understanding just coalesces.
The paper even tries to formalize this a bit, doesn't it, with the insight function?
It does. It looks intimidating, maybe,
A little.
but the core idea is quite graspable. Eye is in sight. And is the coherence gradient, basically, the potential for new connections or shifts in the field.
The readiness for change.
Sort of, yeah. And MP is your prepared field configuration, that structured, attuned mind we talked about.
Okay.
And F is just the function describing how they align, the coherence resonance alignment. What this formula really communicates is that insight is lawful, but not rule-bound.
Lawful but not rule-bound. I like that. It follows principles but not rigid algorithms.
Precisely. And the paper offers a beautiful visual analogy for this.
Oh.
Think of insight like light being refracted through a crystal. The crystal's internal structure, that's the prepared mind. That internal structure determines what spectra, what beautiful colors, what profound insights are revealed when the light passes through. A chaotic or unstructured medium, say like muddy water, would just scatter the light incoherently. Nothing new or structured would be revealed.
Right.
Only a well-prepared coherence lattice, as the paper puts it, can produce the rainbow. Only a mind structured for coherence can truly facilitate profound insight.
That's a powerful image. So this reframing has some pretty significant practical implications then, especially for how we understand and maybe develop artificial intelligence.
It truly does. The paper really digs into why current rule-based AI often struggles with genuine creative leaps, true aha moments.
Because they're stuck in the rules.
Essentially.
Yeah.
From this perspective, those leaps require a phased transition in coherence space, not just following the existing rules, however complexly. If an AI is only trained on existing patterns and rules, it's going to struggle to generate truly novel frameworks or paradigms. It's operating within its initial programming.
It can optimize, but not truly innovate in the way insight seems to work.
That's the argument. The paper concludes that intelligence isn't merely algorithmic recursion, as many current AI models operate. It suggests intelligence is a meta-recursive coherence process.
Meta-recursive coherence, meaning it can change its own processes.
Yes, it's adaptive, it's emergent, and it seems fundamentally irreducible to rules alone. This paradigm points towards entirely new directions for AI research.
How so?
Moving beyond simply crunching data or following predefined logic towards systems that can perhaps truly reconfigure their own understanding, maybe achieve something akin to genuine aha moments.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does this mean for the future of AI? And how should we think about truly intelligent systems? Could we someday build machines that experience their own insights? Systems that truly understand and create in a way that goes beyond their initial programming? It's a huge question.
A very big question.
Okay, so to recap our deep dive today, we've explored this fascinating idea that insight isn't just about following rules, nor is it some random flash of genius out of nowhere.
Right. Instead, it's presented as an emergent property of a structured, prepared mind, aligning within a complex coherence field.
It's a dynamic, lawful resonance, not mystical, not purely mechanical either.
And understanding insight this way, as a lawful resonance emergence across coherence fields, it offers a far more profound and, I think, exciting view of cognition and creativity.
Both in ourselves and potentially in the intelligent systems we might aim to build.
Exactly. It's about unlocking potential that isn't pre-programmed, but rather emerges from cultivating that well-structured mental landscape, that coherence field.
So we'll leave you, our listener, with this provocative thought. Given that insight favors the prepared mind, as Pasteur said and this paper reframes, what intentional steps might you take to cultivate your own coherence potential in your learning, your problem solving, maybe your creative pursuits?
How might this reframed understanding of insight change the way you approach those moments of sudden clarity, those aha experiences in your own life?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.